Hi everyone, this is Chris Stone. I'm here to make a quick how-to video for Die in the Dungeon. After sending out the 3D files for the awesome miniatures that Wes provided with this game, he got a few comments back from folks saying that they were having trouble getting these files to work in their 3D printing programs. And so, having succeeded at getting these to print, I offered to do a little tutorial on what I did to make these work. And so this is that process. As you can see, these are the models in my Cura slicer program for my 3D printer, and they all look great, and I will show you how I got to this result. So as I say, I used the Ultimaker Cura slicing software. Lots of people who do 3D printing have their own process, their own different software that works well for them. However, it may be that some of the problems that folks are running into have to do with the slicer software they're using not working well with these models. So since Cura works well, I'm going to show you how to use that. So I'm going to close this so we can start from the beginning. And just jump to a browser, and I'm going to plug in Cura Slicer. And the first thing that comes up in Google is going to be the Ultimaker Cura download page for Cura. Just download for free, click the button, and install that as you would any other program. I'm not going to do that since I've already got it installed, but that's all there is to getting the software. Again, it's a free program. So I'm going to close that and launch that program here. And once the Ultimaker Cura software has loaded, I am going to open up the folder where the models that Wes provided are located here on my system. You can see all of them are OBJ files, except for one, for some reason, is an STL file, but it's not a big deal. All of these will drop easily right into Cura with just a drag and drop. So I'm going to lasso all those files, boom, drop them all at once into Cura. While these are loading, let's jump over real quick. This is not a full tutorial on how to print 3D miniatures on your 3D printer. I will say one resource that's been a fantastic resource for me, if we load up a browser here, my 3D printer is a Creality CR10, and I have found that a fantastic resource is the Facebook group associated with my 3D printer. So I'll just put in groups Creality CR10, and if you look for your own 3D printer on Facebook, I imagine that you will find tons of groups. This has been a fantastic resource to get all kinds of questions answered about my 3D printer and see some great examples of work. I highly recommend that you find the group for your own 3D printer for more advice on how to do this process in its entirety. So jumping back to the Cura software, now that we've loaded up our models, you can see that they have all come in, no problem. And if we select one of these and look at the sizing of it, so I'm going to go down here to the scale option. Along the green axis, which is the height of this model, which is laying on its back right now, you can see this is 40 millimeters, about 1.5 inches tall, and that is the correct size. So all of these models have come in the proper proportion. With one exception, for some reason the Quackalope rubber ducky model, which is an awesome addition to the game, has come in at a strange small size, but this is not a problem at all. If we just pick the scale button here in Cura, again we can just change that green axis, the green Y, to 30 millimeters. Having talked to Wes, this is a good scale size for that miniature. And the next thing that we're going to want to do, obviously this is not a good orientation for all of these models to be printing at. Obviously here, this model in particular, for example, we would never want to print it in this orientation on a 3D printer because it would require a ton of supports, and this is just not probably the best orientation. Coming to the rotate option for the models, you can pick the model and you can orient it however you want. So some people like to print 3D models, especially for sort of humanoid miniatures, at a 45-degree angle, and that some people find provides some really great detail along the top face of your miniature. Other people prefer to print them standing upright on their base. And I'll show you a quick trick for doing that in Cura. If you pick a model like the Beholder here, we can select the model, come over to the rotate, and pick this rotate option which says select face to align to the build plate, and click the bottom of the model. And it will instantly set it on its base. And do the same thing with any other model, and it will put the model right on its base. And that's really all there is to it. Once we are done with this, I'll go ahead and set the rest of these models on their bases. You may not want to try and print all of these at once, but you can. So I'm just going to pick each model, pick that rotation setting, set it on its base, and once they're all upright, or however you want to orient them, you can right-click on any one of them, select all models, and then right-click again and arrange all models. And it will position the models into a nice orientation for your 3D printer. Now, one thing that you are going to want to do is set up your printer so that Cura has the correct settings to know how to set up the models and slice the models properly for your printer. They have great tutorials on their website that can help you do all that. Now that the models are all arranged the way you want them for printing, you can pull down the print settings, pick a preset, or go in one setting at a time and set it up however you've had success printing miniatures on your printer in the past. One thing that you're likely to want to do is to turn on supports, and supports will create filler material to hold up the parts of the model shown in red here that are going to be hard to print because they're overhanging. They're not supported by the model itself. So I'm going to show you real quickly what that looks like. I'll just delete all but one model. So if we bring over our troll, we can slice this model by hitting the slice button here in the bottom, and then preview, and it'll show us where the supports are going to be printed in order to print the overhanging pieces of the model. Once we're done with that, we can save that sliced model to a file and bring it over to our 3D printer and print it out. So hopefully this has helped you overcome some problems with printing these awesome 3D models that Wes has provided. As you can see here, this is what the finished product looked like on my 3D printer. They turned out great, and I hope you have some great results too. Good luck.